always are. See what we always saw. We was never up close, we was always far. Now we almost here, neither here nor there. And niggas fear no man, nor fear no fear. I got no fuck left to give. One dream, gun too big, can't tuck in my jeans.
Welcome to Work Spouse.
Welcome.
I am David.
And I'm D'Angela.
Thank you for joining us on this wonderful Thursday evening. We want to talk to you about how did we get here. We started a podcast probably about late September, and we were able to get our podcast off the ground, and we got a great opportunity with Listen Vision to do some live radio. So this is our first time doing a live radio session, so thanks for joining us.
Yes, thanks for joining us. We are excited.
And as you know, on our podcast, if you listen to, we like to, before we get into the topics, we like to do like a little happy hour cocktail moment. Yes. So I'm going to turn over to D'Angela so she can do her thing.
So I am actually the bartender for our cocktails.
Bartender, okay.
And I'm a bartender in training, so remember that, David. So if this happens to be not the best tasting cocktail, that is not my fault. I'm in training. So, and this time I decided to make us a gin cocktail. Per the other episodes, we've used gin. Okay. So I use gin, but this one is considered a gin Ricky. Okay. And what's in a gin Ricky is basically gin, lime, and tonic water or soda water. Okay. So I use that. Let's see. I pre-made a little bit of this earlier. So. All
right. I got my big mug ready. The Work Spouse mug.
Quite a bit in here, so I'm gonna pour myself some.
We don't encourage anyone to drink this much alcohol. That's not gonna be a good look. And look at you. Okay. Okay.
All right. Cheers.
So let's taste.
I hope this tastes good. Oh,
it's good.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. So far she's probably like, I think you're 4 for 4. Yeah. Woo-hoo! So she's doing pretty good. So if this radio thing doesn't work out, she can be at, one of those coyote.
You gotta have multiple side hustles. So
okay. So we want to get into the topic. So work spouse, like what is work spouse? How did we come up with the name work spouse? Because a lot of people don't understand what is a work spouse. Do I have a work spouse? What is a work spouse? So we came up with the title. It's kind of based on the relationship that naturally develops in the office. Corporate America, any type of office space, even here at the radio station, if you have multiple people, relationships do form. Yep. And there's a natural forming that happens. Then there's some bonding that happens, and there's some exchanges that makes this person more than a coworker. Mm-hmm. Yep. So then you start caring about this person, and you start, getting to the everyday life, what they're doing. So then all of a sudden it's like, there's a relationship going on, but we're more than co-workers. Yes. So then some people that have work dads, work moms, and we're going to get into that, but we're going to particularly talk about work spouses. Yeah. So how did we become work spouses?
So let me tell you the story.
From your eyes.
David actually claimed me as his work spouse about maybe less than 30 days from being on a job, maybe?
Well, when a man knows, he knows.
Okay. All right. So he claimed me within less than 30 days of me being employed on a new job.
True. I was going through a work spouse divorce because that happens too at the time.
Tell us about that, David.
So you came in at the right time. I was going through a work spouse divorce where, and we're going to get into the boundaries of work spouses because there are boundaries. And for this particular situation that we have, D'Angela and I, D'Angela is a beautiful single woman, but I'm actually a married man outside of work. So therefore, there are boundaries. And you can have a work spouse, in a work environment being married, and both couples could be married, both could be single. There could be any type of mix and match situation. But going back to the situation, I was going through a divorce because the current person that I had as my work spouse, things were just kind of getting a little bit too
tell us.
Close to the borderline.
Okay.
Right. So it was time to pull back because there was like feelings on one side that just was not smart to explore in any type of way. So for D'Angelo to come on board at that time, it was good to break up the monotony.
So let's get into the boundaries of a work spouse.
All right.
Because we don't want people to think that a work spouse is someone that you flirt with.
No.
That's not necessarily how this works.
No.
Now, if you meet someone at work, go right ahead. However, this is not to involve yourself in other affairs with people who are actually taken.
Yeah. And sometimes like you're in a work environment and sometimes it's a threesome. And,
Explain. What?
Right.
I'm sorry.
Threesome. And, sometimes, it's me, Kelly, and Ryan, or it's me, it's me and two girls, and we all have this bond, and we look out for each other. Okay. So let's talk about what's the description. Let's break it down. The description of a work spouse, I would say, would be someone we look out for each other. So, in terms of what's going on in the company, passing along information, if something's going on with management, any type of information to keep each other aware.
Okay.
We share that information.
Okay.
You have my back.
So hey, like a family.
It's like a family. Hey, I'm 15 minutes
your
running
work
late.
Family.
Cover me. Hey, sign in for me.
But your work spouse is specifically for you.
Correct.
So you don't necessarily share the work spouse.
You don't share, but I could see there be like a three-way. You may not like the term three-way.
I do not like the term
but
three-way.
I can see a situation where it could be a three-way relationship where we look out for each other.
Okay.
Or if Andrew's not here,
right.
hey, you got this person.
So let's put it like this.
Okay.
Let's say someone just fill in when the other person isn't present.
Right. So then the work spouse, they have to give you the daily scoop. And it doesn't really mean like, oh, there's physical touch. This is my spouse. I get to, touch them, things like that. No, that's not the case.
Right.
But it's more about relationships, more about covering each other, looking out for each other, keeping each other aware of anything that's going on. Hey, if you about to get canned or, they're talking about you, letting you go, these are things that work spouses, they do. They exchange information to protect each other so they could, be successful at that company.
Okay. I can dig that.
So let's talk about the rules of engagement and the boundaries of work spouses.
Okay.
So, and there's different boundaries. So let's talk from your point of view as a single woman. What boundaries do you have with your work spouses in the past and even this current work spouse?
Well, I'm not interested in any more other than just a work fling. Sorry.
Okay.
But I'm only here for the work time fling. My hours are 9 to 5. Outside of that, I'm no longer yours.
That's a good point. So boundaries is, okay, you're at work and you got a good relationship going on with the girl at work, but you're texting her on the weekend, knowing that she has a man.
Don't text me on the weekend.
You're sending her pictures and messages. Hey, I was at the mall. I was thinking of you. Blah.
Nope.
That's going beyond the call of duty. Right. Right. So there is boundaries. My number one rule is do not fall in love with your work spouse. But it happens.
You can if you two are single. If you two are single, and the chemistry happened that way, by all means. I mean, think about it this way. You're spending most of your time with people at work than you do with people you love the most. You're in this person's space all the time more than other people. So if that's the moment where you met someone and say, oh, we vibe well, then maybe you should explore that. But also, there needs to be boundaries within that, too. And that's a whole nother topic we can go into.
Okay. So do you feel like, because, man, we're hunters, we're animals, we're all these things. And do you feel like it's difficult to keep the boundaries? Has it been difficult in the past? Have you had any experiences?
No, not for me.
How about for the men? For the man, because they've been around you. They're used to your scent. Oh, what you wearing? That Chanel. Oh, you smell so good. Oh, I love your hair, and or did you just get it done? And all these overly compliments.
I mean, those are nice too, and that's fine. But I think you can let someone know your boundaries by showing them, like, if you don't want to be bothered in the office, all you have to do is keep making excuses. Like, oh, I'm busy. Oh, I can't go to lunch. Oh, I'm not free. Like, you can keep making excuses, and if they don't get to him, just keep using the same thing over and over again, period. So it's just like, you can do all that, but you maintain the boundaries of someone not understanding or they'll try to figure out whether or not you're taken too.
Okay.
So if they know that you're taken and they're still trying their hands, then I become concerned. Like, okay, I don't even want to interact with you at all unless it's really about work or via email or something like that.
So have you ever caught a thing for a work spouse?
Not that I can recall. No.
Okay.
I can't recall any time.
Can you recall one of your work spouses, one of your work husbands, falling for you, or even making a move on you?
Maybe I can definitely. I've had quite a few work spouses, and
so
usually it's with married guys. I just noticed that.
Okay, so even that the rule still stands,
Yeah, but I just thought about like no one that was single that we had to talk about further movement,
Any inappropriate touching from your work spouse?
Not inappropriate touching per se, but inappropriate trying to touch me, yes.
Okay. How do you try to touch somebody but you don't touch them?
Like go in to reach for something and you get close to their breast area.
Okay.
And you're like, oh, you back up a little bit to make sure that it doesn't happen.
So people hug at work. There's touching at work. There's things that happen. I'm not really
People are not hugging at work like this is a family reunion.
No, I'm saying people do hug at work. Hey, you're going for the day. All right, see you later.
Nobody hugs at work to say, what work environment have you worked in where people hug at the end of the day when they're leaving?
Some people.
What? Okay, I don't do that. I have not been in a work environment.
So
where
have
that
you had
took
work
place.
spouses where they wanted a hug? They expected a hug?
No.
Okay. Maybe because they have been married and they have stayed within their boundaries.
No. The only time I can think of a time where we actually hugged a coworker was when it was maybe a retirement party saying goodbye, or a shower, or maybe someone's having a baby in the office, something like that. But I can't imagine us hugging just at the end of each day.
Maybe not at the end of each day. How about you go happy hour with the coworkers? Everybody's getting a little loose now. Happy hour, people let their guard down.
Well, people do do
so
crazy
then
things.
When it's time to leave, right? So when it's time to leave happy hour, people going in they're making their move. They may whisper in your ear, "Hey, where are you going after this? Hey, you need a ride, hey."
No, I can. Okay, so
you want to share a lift?
People, you can. Yeah, you need to. For one, you need to kind of stick to a drink minimum when you're going to happy hour.
Okay, why is that?
Because you need to know your limits and being drunk in front of your peers, your coworkers in particular.
Okay, good point.
So you should probably stick to a minimum of drinks that you're going to be coherent in leaving and not saying some crazy stuff that's going to be filtered through the office the next day.
Okay.
So that's for one. And you also know those people who are trying to take it further also before you even get to happy hour. So be cognizant on those people as well,
Okay. So I want to get back to this work spouse thing. Okay. Have you ever been in a situation?
Take another sip out of this
no, it's good.
humongous mug.
Yeah. So have you ever been in a situation where you had two people competing to be your spouse?
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
So tell me about that. Like, how do you choose?
I have actually. Okay. So I was there with one person who was already my work spouse.
Okay.
He was married, and then another person came on board, and he was not married, and he wanted to be my work spouse. But he didn't ask me. It was no like formal invitation, like you're my work spouse, blah, blah, blah. It was more so like, hey, let's hang out, let's go to lunch. But they saw me always going to lunch with my current work spouse. Mm-hmm. So it became a thing like, oh, are you going to lunch with such and such? Are you not free? It was these little like conversation, little like underlining, things are like, hey, are you not available for lunch? Blah, blah, blah. Or are you going with such, to let them, to let me know that they were like actually watching me going to lunch, or actually who I was going to lunch with, or even if I wasn't going to lunch with that person, they would make it a point to say, are you going to lunch with this person?
Right. So are you careful about what your coworkers and counterparts think of you, like your interaction?
I am.
Especially with men and things like that.
Although it's inevitable, because I feel like everywhere I go, people make their own judgments anyway.
So, okay, because you are attractive, and sometimes attractive women, they get unfair bias towards them.
Wait, what do you mean? Explain.
Like, they see the beauty more than the brains, and they think, this person has navigated through
Excuse me.
I mean, they have navigated through work, through the corporate ladder, based on that. But then also they perceive that, well, this person is hanging out with this person only because, they're nice looking. They're trying to get something. There's like something attached to that.
No. I mean, one was above me in his organizational chart. And the other one was above me too, but not too much. So one was like above the old or current work spouse, was the other one was like right kind of like, yeah.
Okay.
I'm just thinking about if it mattered in that, like, it appearing that I'm actually trying to get something from them because of their organizational characterization, like where they stand. Okay. But I don't think so.
Okay. So what made you feel comfortable with choosing me as your work spouse?
Well, you actually was the first person to welcome me. Make me feel welcome. Yeah. No one really came and asked me anything or how I felt about anything and blah, blah, blah. Like normal things that happen on the work environment, within the work environment when you're new.
Right.
So you made me feel welcome, and you also had to train me.
True.
So you were assigned to train me, and David did a good job at training me, showing me the ropes. I felt like you were real too, so it was like almost like a perfect pair. Because Correct. If I was with anyone else, they probably wouldn't have gave me so much insight to the environment. Yeah,
because I'm the type of person, if I'm going to train you, I'm not just going to show you just the benefits of the company and things that are going on with the job. I'm going to show you the dirty laundry too. Like, hey,
good. I appreciate that.
Yeah, this part needs to be ironed out. There's some wrinkles over here. There's some things going on over here. And watch out for this. Just because I believe that I want somebody to give me the full scoop too. Of course, everybody has the right to form their own opinion.
Yeah.
And you need to form your own opinion. But at the same time, hey, just give me the real. Let me know.
What made you want me as your work spouse? Because you were there, had a work spouse, so you didn't necessarily need another.
Right, and my work spouse, and my work spouse was easy on the eye too. But
your current one?
Yeah, I mean,
what are you trying to say?
No.
Oh, okay.
I knocked 2 home runs. I made 2 home runs. But
clarify that.
Sometimes it's just about the energy as well as conversation and just being compatible. So compatibility, just a little bit more on the same page.
So let's check off some boxes here.
Okay.
Let's check off the box that was similar.
Yeah.
And then in ways in the box that made it different for you to jump ship. Because that's basically what you did.
Okay, so boxes that are similar. Yes. I think both are nice generally. Okay. But however, she's nice all the time, even when she has a reason not to be nice. You're nice within reason. If somebody crosses you, then you're going to handle them accordingly, which to me is being more authentic and more real, so I get to see the real side of you. I don't want to see the smiley side.
Oh, I see. So you're actually saying that. See, at first I was taking it as that you did not.
Right. No. Right. I know.
So you're actually saying that you didn't find that her nice was genuine, or maybe you're saying that you didn't know when it was and when it wasn't.
Right, because sometimes like
it was always a face all the time that she was nice.
Correct. When you're in corporate America, sometimes you just try to be. You don't want to show them who you really are. Of course, we can never be who we are at home.
I'm expressive, so I would express whatever I was. Well, I can't say whatever, but I guess I would let you know when I was uncomfortable or when I was great mood, or you could see it. Is that what you're saying in my actions? Like,
not that you. It's just like. Because the fact that you're going to show me niceness and you're going to show me when you're upset, you're going to show me different kinds of emotions, so I get to get the full picture of you.
Okay.
With her,
she didn't give you that.
I'm getting just nice all the time. Hey, you don't got to be nice all the time. You got to say thank you all the time.
Oh, so you felt that it wasn't authentic.
It was, no, all of it wasn't authentic because there was times where she could have been upset because she was double-crossed at work or,
So if I'm hearing you correctly, I check off the authentic box.
Okay. I give that. Saying? Yeah, and not trying to cut her short, but I think she's just putting on the front for work, which is okay. Some people put on front for work, and we all do to a certain extent.
Yes.
Without compromising who David really is, who D'Angelo really is.
Yeah, but I feel like once we create that closeness, I then can get a little tiny real with you than all the others.
Right. Because then what happens is like, if you're nice all the time, if you're my work spouse and I'm dealing with a real issue, and I want to talk about something, off the clock, if I can't trust that you're gonna give me the real answer, then I'm gonna be least likely to share. Hey, you're happy all the time.
I understand. I'm the same way.
Let me talk to this person over here who actually,
Yeah, I get that. Okay. So the authentic box, and then you said something about the chemistry. What do you mean exactly? Is that like am I getting all that wrapped up into the authentic?
Okay, I mean, me and her chemistry was good. Me and her chemistry was good. I'm not gonna downplay that. Okay. With you, I can see it more. We're just on the same page, just about certain things that are happening in society.
Okay, so we have the same social awareness.
We
vibe on that level.
Right.
Okay.
And I don't think she wants to explore those things. I think, she just wants to do work, and that which is fine. But then also, I can see this forming into true, like, a brother-sister type, friend relationship. Yeah.
Well, that's the chemistry that I got from it.
Right.
So when you think of chemistry, it doesn't necessarily always mean that it has to be romantic chemistry.
Right.
It can be platonic chemistry as well.
But with her, I can see it going a romantic route.
Oh, so she wanted more.
Right, and I'm not putting her out. I mean, I can see it going that route just based on
sounds like some
how the relationship was forming. So then me being a true married man, it's like, okay, so we got to dial back.
Oh, you got to make sure those boundaries are in place.
Right, and she respected the relationship. I'm not saying that she ever violated, my marriage or anything like that, or said anything, to make me have to really check her.
Okay.
Nothing like that.
I can see.
But however, you got to be able to sniff out, okay, this could be a problem.
Okay.
Right, because even me being a married man, not that I'm never going to be attracted to another woman. That's not. I don't live that life.
No. I don't think no one walks around thinking I'm only going to be attracted to this one person that I'm seeing right now. No, we're people. We can be attracted to other people. That doesn't necessarily mean that you take it further with those people, though.
Right. So. Yeah. And you have the discipline. So it's like.
Yeah.
So when I say even a safe choice, just because.
I'm safe.
Right. And it's not like, oh.
I don't have anything more to offer than that.
Right. And it's not that you don't have, nice features about you that could, make a man be romantic. But I just think that we have already established boundaries and just a respect level in a direction of our relationship. I think with her, it was still kind of a little shaky ground.
Basically, she would be... Like, she would actually tamper or, like, dab, like, kind of, like, in between those lines of respecting
like
that you are a married man.
Like, when I look at you, like, and we talk, it's like I never got the sense that, you're gazing at me and, like, you're just...
That I want more or I want something else.
And I'm not saying,
I would get to that point with you.
Right, I'm not saying that I'm, like, the best-looking guy or anything like that. That's not what I'm saying. Like, I'm not trying to feed myself.
No, I was just wondering how that works.
I am an experienced man who is retired from the game, and as a platinum member, I'm retired from the game, and I can sense and I can feel when
marriage is platinum.
Right, I can feel when there's trouble ahead. Right, so then I'm like, okay, there's trouble ahead, and time to dial back. So you came in at a good time.
Okay. Perfect timing.
So when selecting...
Which spouses do. They come in at a good time and make your life better.
Yeah, so for those who are listening, so when selecting your work spouse and things like that, if you're really trying to keep it in line within the rules where there's no crossing line, no hanky-panky or whatever.
Hanky-panky.
no matter how you want to put it. Make sure that you don't have those type of attractions. And we know attractions could grow just based off of social communication, things like that,
or developing that work spouse relationship, because you are then being able to have those conversations with each other about your personal lives,
right? And it goes
outside of work,
right? And it goes back to the boundaries. So how much can you share with your work spouse? Because for a minute, if you share so much, they're going to not just be a sounding board.
Yeah, and then you develop an emotional connection.
Correct.
And that's emotional cheating.
Right.
And that kind of goes and spill over into emotional cheating.
So what are the boundaries on that emotional connection and just the social and the sharing that you do?
I think it's the person's job who have the higher membership, platinum.
Okay.
So you are the married man, right? You decide then how much you share of your relationship.
Absolutely.
And sometimes it's a feedback situation. So if, like you said, with being authentic with the previous current work spouse, if you decide then that we're not going that far, then I'm not going that far with you either. But some people will overshare or share a little bit more because they feel that sometimes your membership is higher, so you can give advice to them in their relationship outside of work. Does that make sense?
Right. Yeah. And it's like, you being single, I can't let you depend on me emotionally.
Yeah.
And once I see that you're depending on me
that's a good
emotionally,
that's a good point, David.
Then I have to cross
some boundaries.
The boundaries. Because I know that, okay, so then now you're going to be checking on me. You're going to be, hey, I'm dating this guy. What do you think about that? Or, my heart got broken. This guy stood me up, blah, blah.
Wow.
Then I have to pick you up.
I never thought about it like
then
that.
I have to pick you up. Then all of a sudden, I end up being your rescue, your shining armor, your black bald armor. Rescue coming in on my horse.
Shining horse, my knight in shining armor.
So then what happens is I can't support you and support my wife. I mean, I could barely support my wife emotionally. If we're just being real, man, we could barely support the one woman that we with.
One woman.
Yeah.
I want other men to hear that. Like, it's hard to support just one woman. So.
I can't support more than one woman.
Okay.
Yeah. I mean, my life is too busy, and I'm not going to even lie. I don't have time to try to, keep this woman uplifted and keep my wife uplifted. That's too much. Right.
That's a lot.
It's too much. So I have to be careful, even just in the, forming this relationship or any relationship with another woman. They can't become dependent on you.
Yeah.
I can't be the one that lifts you up and tell you, oh, you look good, and you're looking forward to me telling you, oh, you wearing that dress, girl. Stuff like that. Oh, I love the way you did the makeup today and your accessories, the way you coordinated that. Girl, you doing
it. Those are nice things to say.
Nice
you have to say it every day. Like, you're not obligated. Like, as if it's your wife. Well, people don't even feel obligated when it's their spouse.
Right, but the thing about it, I can't out compliment you more than I do my wife.
Right.
I can't.
But I wouldn't know that.
Right. You wouldn't know that.
That's the thing. I would know that only you would be able to keep tally of those things, not me.
Right. And that's why you have to really assess the relationship that you have. Even being a married man, you have to assess the relationship that you have with other women and make sure that you're not giving a treatment level that higher at work than you're giving at home.
Okay.
Yeah. I mean, because that's dangerous.
That is. That's territories.
Yeah. So, these are all just boundaries. These are all, just rules of engagement. Your work spouse is not the person you flirt with. No. Your work spouse is, the person that you could kind of depend on. Yes. You have an honest relationship. Mm-hmm.
Or you could have work mom and dad spouse.
Okay, let's talk about that.
Or wait, no, I said that wrong. Work mom and dad.
Yeah, a work mom and a work dad.
Yes.
Yeah, and people have that. You got, sister love and stuff.
Sister.
Right. You got all these things. Yeah, it's all different. Brother, yeah.
It can be a work spouse where a work brother, I should say, instead of spouse, that you all are just like brothers and sisters. But you're both in relationships, I guess, and you just feel like brothers and sisters.
Yeah, and I think I made a comment on one of the podcasts, and I said, well, everybody has a work spouse. Then somebody commented, and they said, "No, I work in a warehouse. we don't have that." Yeah, I said, "Good. Yeah, I understand. You may not. I worked in a warehouse before. No,
so I guess it's just one sex. I mean, you can still in one sex. Somebody may be feeling another person.
But when I worked in a warehouse,
it could be a bromance. It could be oh my gosh, it can be any type of like arrangement. Actually, now that I think about it, you can still have a bromance, or you can even if you work in the same spouse, you can still have like a lover of the same sex.
Right.
I support all of that. So yeah.
Okay.
I like the idea of having we're work spouses because I guess because we just classify it as that, but you can be work.
Okay, can there be a work spouse abuse?
Explain.
Okay.
A work spouse abuse. Right. How does that work?
Or misusing. Right. So, some people may be thinking, hey, I got a work spouse. because I'm always doing these chores for this girl. I'm buying her lunch.
You buying lunch all the time? It's not like a
right. I'm just clarifying because there's some guys out there who think they have a work spouse, but you actually just have a pimp. Yeah. So I mean,
a pimp.
Right.
Oh my gosh, this is no longer in the lines of work spouse or brother, sister, aunt,
you
uncle.
can have watch out for the work pimp, the person that Jerry, I forgot my wallet.
I see. So you're saying people who are going into the situation using their resources for their own betterment.
Right. I mean, there could be a guy.
I never thought about it that way. That's so funny.
Let's say we work together. We work in accounting, and I'm not that good in Excel. So I have you set up the templates, and I'm always relying. I'm relying on you to help me with my work. So I'm kind of pimping you out on the sources that you have. Right.
This has happened to me.
So things happen. So guys may use girls for a brain and for things.
When the person is older in management or something, they pimp me out for my skills. Okay. Because I'm younger than them.
Right.
Oh my gosh. So that's like an auntie pimping me out to help her out.
Watch out for the work pimps. not
oh my gosh. I never even thought about it like that.
Yeah, we're going to do a special
I've been
episode.
Pimped out at work.
Watch out for the work pimps, the ones that have you, doing all these special favors and things like that.
This is ridiculous.
What you cooking for dinner?
It's the ageism too, because if you're, that's what I'm basically getting at, ageism. If they know the younger people in the office, so they assume that they know how to do computer-related things or stuff that they don't. Oh my gosh.
Yeah. So then, I even had
you might be onto something here.
I know I'm onto something. But check this out. So, I worked with somebody and.
You've been pimped out too.
Oh no, I watched it. I observed it.
David, it's okay to admit that you've been pimped out.
We were working it together as a group, and there was this girl, same girl, and she cooked a lot and things like that. And the guy that I worked with, he was married. But he used to always ask the girl, hey, what you cooking? Oh, you cooking enchiladas? Oh, I love your enchiladas. Can you bring in some extra?
Wait, so you don't think that's maybe crossing boundaries?
Let's get into that. Okay.
Because, if you are married,
okay,
how do you say, oh, no, I don't need you to pack lunch, honey. I have someone at work bringing me lunch. That's my work spouse. Yeah. Oh, no.
That's
unacceptable.
Before me and my wife was dating, I was working somewhere, and this girl used to make me cookies because I love sweets.
But cookies are different than whole lunch.
Hold up. I don't know. So she was making me these cookies, and they were good. So then once I started getting serious with my current wife now, as in dating and, going into engagement, things like that, my wife said, you ain't getting no more cookies.
You ain't getting no more cookies?
Right. But the thing about it, when you cut someone off, are you going to replace that desire? Are you going to make new cookies? No. But,
I don't think, I think your thinking is wrong. I don't think it's fair to task your wife with doing something she never did before. Now, if it's something you like, I understand that you can make a suggestion. However, to be like, well, are you gonna make me cookies? Then I'm gonna keep no. And
that's
I took it, not okay.
And I stopped getting the cookies, and no, I didn't get cookies from my wife either. But these things happen. Yeah, these things happen. And and just back to my coworker that I have. So he was married, and he had this girl. Every time she cooked something, hey, bring an extra bowl. And those are the type of things where you have to watch out for somebody pimping you out. So the girl may think in her head
that they like the stuff, or they really
that we have more than a relationship. Hey, yeah, I'm cooking. Yeah, I'm making some extra tacos. Yeah, I'm making it for Brandon. Whatever. I'm gonna bring him some too. He likes my cooking, so that's flattering that he likes my cooking.
That's true, but so, I wouldn't think about that someone who's already married. Now, if that person was single, then I would be like, oh, this person might actually like me more than just office. They would take this further.
But yeah, pimping can happen, single, married, but pimping does happen. And the
pimping does happen.
Yeah, it does happen in the work environment. Yeah. So you have to watch out for the works.
I don't think I've been pimped by a guy in the office. I mean, I do cook as well. And when I'll bring in leftovers for people to try. But I enjoy cooking and legit want people to try it, whether it's a male or a female. Mm-hmm. So I don't have a problem with that, but I'm not doing it all the time. It's not a daily occurrence.
Right.
I'm not bringing in this stuff all the time for you to try. Oh, I made this. Here's your bowl. Or here's mine. No.
But, unfortunately, everyone plays the fool sometimes.
That's true.
And
I'm not playing no work.
And sometimes, people get caught up into that pattern, and hey, and you end up cooking the Thanksgiving meal and you don't even know it.
Not the Thanksgiving meal. That's far. Okay.
So don't get pimped.
No pimping in the office. Recognize the pimp signs before it happens.
Right. So,
or in the midst of it, maybe, because you probably won't recognize.
Right. If you're getting pimped right now, get out of it. We'll help you.
Call it quits. Don't do it.
Yeah, I'll write you a letter how to get out of it. So another topic that we had.
Oh yes.
We had work versus personal relationships. So being in a supervisory or a boss position at work, let's say you're a female.
Okay.
Do you bring, is there, you have to transition before you go home.
Yes.
And I have been in a relationship. Let me just give you the scenario where I was dating a girl and she was a supervisor at work, and she had subordinates and people up under her. She might have had even as large as a team of 20 people up under her.
That's a lot of people.
That's a lot of people.
Yeah.
And because she's used to barking out orders and having people assist, she kind of brought that mentality home with her.
Oh, so because of her position as the boss at work, she came home being the boss at home.
Correct. So I want to dive, and I want to take a miniature dive into this discussion because this happens, where
people forget that their position at work is not the same as their position at home. This is interesting.
Okay.
And let me tell you why. Because when I speak to my girlfriends and those who are in positions where they are the manager or the head of their team, we actually want to go home to someone who actually managed life for us.
Oh, okay.
I don't want to go home being the same person that I was at work. I want to go home being relieved that someone else is going to take the reign on this life of mine. Because I've been making decisions all day long, and I don't want to continue to make any more decisions.
Okay.
Does that make sense?
That makes sense.
It's actually the opposite for me. I don't want to be the boss at home.
But what happens, so if the guy that you're dating, the guy you're living with or whoever, your husband, boyfriend, if they do not meet the task, doesn't it naturally kick in for you to just kick in gear and start taking over?
I think that goes back to their relationship.
Okay.
So whatever they have cultivated in their relationship thus far, I think that's how they'll manage home tasks. So you didn't go to work and came and then come home at some point and say, hey, I'm going to manage this task the same way I do at work. You already established that relationship.
Yeah.
But I feel like, but I do feel like sometimes, I guess getting to your point, that people who have certain positions don't know how to turn them off when they're no longer at work.
Correct. And that's the point. They don't know how to transition. You get in the car, there has to be a transition that takes place between work and home.
But then you have to take in consideration the person's personality that you're seeing, or your girlfriend or your husband or wife or whatever. Your partner, whomever that may be.
Okay, so for our co-workers, for our listening audience, my suggestion would be,
tell us.
Okay, because you have to blow off. Some people have to blow off steam when they on their way home.
You got time in your commute to do that.
Correct. Some people have to blow off stress. But the main thing you have to do is separate that day.
The two titles.
In the two titles.
Okay.
You have to be able to separate, because what happens is you're in this pattern at work and you have developed a way of talking to people.
Okay, so.
And the reason I say that, I'm going to get.
So I got some more questions here on how to navigate this.
Yeah. So you developed a way how to talk to people. So then you're in this pattern, habitual pattern that keeps happening. So you're barking orders, you're getting people to assist to run these tasks. It's hard for people to fall back into the role of, hey, we're just partners. Hey, now you take the lead.
But I would think that once you get home or step past that front door threshold, that you then understand that you take off that hat and put on the other one.
I would like to hear
because of the person who you actually have to go home to. So even if you came home, even if I was a boss at work, and I came home and my husband was not that way, or my partner or girlfriend or whomever was not that way, I would think that they would like check me real quick. Be like, you're not at work. Excuse me. Right. You know, like, or let's have a conversation about this because this is not how this going. So those people are to like reel you in. Like, I'm sorry.
Right. And in my experience that I had with this particular person who has supervisor, I mean, it's like we're both trying to fit in the driver's seat, and there's only one seatbelt and there's only one wheel.
Yeah. Then that means you need to establish the boundaries within your relationship first, because it's no way that. Like, and there's nothing wrong with the driver's seat, in my opinion. Mm-hmm. I think the driver's seat rotates depending on exactly the task that needs to be accomplished.
Right. So we always talk about men having egos. So do women have egos too when they get this position of power or leadership at work?
I don't think women need position of power to have ego.
You said what?
I don't think women need to be in position of power to have ego. I actually think women have bigger egos than men.
Ooh, I never heard that.
Yeah, I just think we have a different way of showing it.
Example.
Like we sometimes do things like I think if women want something, after we have said numerous times to you what we want, I think we go about it by making subtle hints or kind of like doing things that make you kind of get on board with what we want or how we want things to be done.
Gotcha. Okay.
So if I keep saying, hey, I need the garage painted. I mean, just giving a crazy example. I don't know. Just something, a stupid task that they're just giving our nerves, but you all are not doing. Hey, I need to go. Okay. And I just started to like, okay, I'll hire someone to paint the garage. You'd be like, wait, I was going to paint the garage. I told you I was going to paint the garage. Mm-hmm. You'd be like, no, I told you that a month ago. You didn't do it, but it's okay. I did this.
Right. So then that goes to communication. So we have this communication issue at work, communication issue at home.
I was going to do it without you.
So with men, it's like, if my wife tells me, hey, I need you we're going to stick with the same thing, paint the garage.
Okay.
You need to tell me what color you want me to paint the garage.
Okay.
And when... So I need to paint the garage.
So those aren't questions you ask us.
Right. But sometimes
you just want us to give you, remember every...
But then it doesn't matter detail. When you ask us, too. You can't ask us in a moment where our brain is consumed with something else.
We don't have the time.
And the same thing at work. Like when your supervisor at work tells you to do something, we need to know due dates.
Exactly. So when a supervisor tells you something at work, sticking with the same thing...
Yeah.
They didn't say, hey, I need this done, X, Y, and Z, right? And if the supervisor left anything out, you know what you do? Follow up. Oh, when? In this format? In that format? How would you like to send? On this, you ask those questions.
So you need the guy to take initiative. Okay.
Yes.
Okay.
I mean, you do at work. You're basically stating that you take that same initiative at work, but you do not take that same initiative at home. You want me then to take that initiative and give you all the outline of everything and then say, oh, you never told me to do this.
Well, I guess
you never told me to do that.
Well, I guess the truth is when you're asking us, women, when you're asking us,
the games we play.
When you're asking us to do something that we don't want to do, that's when we need all the information.
And my point is this, because you're getting paid to do something at work, no one have to ask you to make that initiative. No one in your relationship should have to ask you to make that initiative either because you're not getting paid. Your payment is my presence.
I don't know. There has
your
to
payment
be
is my presence.
There has to be a form of payment even at home.
My presence is your form of payment.
Appreciation.
There's other things, of course.
Some tricks.
But I'm saying that it's not fair that you don't kind of conduct or have the same level of boundaries in your relationship that you do at work because you're being paid to do it.
I mean, yeah, but I still think there's just a different form of payment.
It is a different form of payment, but that's why it should be more conducive for you to actually go further with asking those questions. Hey, what color? Did you consider a color? Well, then let me know when you figure it out. If not,
Yeah.
Oh, hey, what? Are you sure? Because I was thinking maybe we shouldn't do this at this moment. Like whatever. You will have those conversations with your boss or your superior at work or whomever.
Yeah.
If they gave you some ambiguous details, you would ask further questions to get the actual answer to understand how to proceed.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. So going back to just the way you talk, to your spouse, to your partner at home. And versus the way you talk to, your coworkers, the way you talk to your subordinates.
Right.
it has to be checked.
Yeah.
And and just even the way you deliver the information, the tone has to be different. Everything has to just be framed differently. And I would love to hear from more of the viewers, more of the listening audience.
Yes.
Their experience. And even looking for people to be honest, men and women. Hey, I'm a boss at work and I'm a supervisor at work. I'm a CEO of this company.
How do you manage those relationships at home and at
how
work?
do you talk? Do you have issues talking to your spouse because of the role that you play at work?
Yeah. I wonder the same. So let that be the question that we ask you all to give us more feedback on.
Right. Do you have those issues? Because even for me, and like I think we talked about this before, it's like I think people who do a job that their brain is consumed with, constant energy and pumping information out and typing and things like that and researching and things like that. When they go home and get in the car, they need to decompress and they don't want to come home and play 20 questions with their partner.
I think everyone needs to find what that looks like for them and communicate that with their partner.
Right.
So if you all have to ride together in the same commute home together, maybe music, or maybe not having a conversation about work until later on, or having an hour to yourself when you get home.
Because if you work construction, it's like, you come home and your spouse, hey, can you wash the car? Hey, I've been on my feet, doing
all
this
day.
manual labor
I didn't think about it like that.
That's tough. So I think you have to consider, what does your spouse do, the role that they play at work?
Oh, I see, their profession.
And for when they come home.
And how it can be taxing on on them versus coming home to the relationship.
Because that could build more stress. Hey, I don't even want to come home. I'm going straight to the bar because I know she's going to be asking me all these kind of questions, wants to know when we're going to do this, when we're going to do that. And I'll forget that. I'm tapping out.
I never thought about it that way. I just assume people respect each other's spaces because they knew what their partner was enduring in the smallest, even if it wasn't highlighted, in the smallest, because of their professional title.
Right. Yeah.
Or their title in general. So
yeah, but are we truly considering, what type of toll or what type of day that they have and how it, took a toll on them?
Well, you should ask.
Yeah.
I think a spouse should ask.
Yeah. Yeah, and that's back, communication in the workplace, communication at home, it can never, it's underrated. Okay. It has to always.
Have you experienced that? Have you experienced like being in a situation where you've actually, or your partner, done those things, like treated home like work? Or have you been told that you treat home like work?
I don't think I've been like the boss over some teams, some things like that.
Or have someone done it to you?
I think now that I think about it, because I do music. I was doing music, and I had a group under me, and even my wife, she was part of the group, and like she may have like some input or something to say about music wise, and I might shut her down because I'm the leader of the group. Yeah, and I caught myself doing that. Wow. And that could be
you are a victim of
hey, number one thing is you got to recognize your missteps. So I did recognize that. Like
first sign is admitting.
Like maybe she had a point. Like she made something. Hey, maybe you could be mixing something. She'd be like, "Oh, this is too loud. You need to turn that down." And I'm like, "No, it's fine, it's fine." But then she leaves the room. Then you start thinking about it. Well, maybe it is too loud. But things like that, guys. We do crazy things like that.
Yeah, I see.
But that ego or that boss mentality. Yeah, I think there've been moments where I had to check myself. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, it happens.
So you've had to check yourself, but have you experienced where you've actually been in a situation where you have to check the partner?
Yeah.
Like the woman.
Or the woman that I was dating who was supervisor over 20. Yeah, I had to tell her all the time, hey, I'm not your little I'm not subordinate. Right, yeah. I'm not your clerk.
So I'm not
the janitor.
So for me, I appreciate that. Because if I'm getting out of line, you are then, from my understanding, creating boundaries within our relationship.
Correct. Right.
So then you're letting me know, I don't need you to handle that here. I got this.
Yeah, but
or I don't need you to do that.
But then what happens is, the woman is used to calling the shots. So then what happens, she doesn't trust anyone else to call the shots because she's just used to it. So she has lost her trust in humanity. It was just like she has lost her trust in somebody navigating through the relationship. You have those issues too.
Okay.
But it's like I should have your one thing. If we're forming something new, I should have your trust off the bat, and let me demonstrate that I cannot handle it,
right,
or I abuse it, or I can handle it
before I insert myself.
Before you insert yourself, or before you take before you take it from me, the duties.
So before I just reel you in myself, or do it myself.
Right, but there's some women who they already assume he's not gonna be able to figure this out. He doesn't.
Oh, I see. So before they allow you to say or not, or make the mistake or not be able to handle it, they just do it themselves.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. So, so people have to self-check themselves.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No, you're right. I didn't think about it that way, but I guess they do. They should.
Yeah. And the person I was dating with, we bumped heads all the time because some women want to be the man in the relationship.
Okay.
And some
the man of the relationship. Some women want to be the man of the relationship. Okay.
Yeah, and I guess because
I don't see any relationship where that I'm involving myself in that I want to be both roles.
But I think, like you said in the beginning, most women, professional women, they would love to give those duties of leadership
That's me.
to the man.
I don't want to come home and have to do the same thing that I do at work. That's just my opinion. And I have other friends or people that I spoke with who feel the same way too. They want to be able to get home and pass the baton. They want to be like, hey, you handle it. Thanks a lot.
Right. And just like at work, there's supervisors who don't want to micromanage and they don't want to hold your hand.
No,
they do want to allow you to have that freedom.
And maybe that kind of coincides with those two type of personalities, like just myself. I don't want to do that at work.
Right. So I would say, if you're a woman in leadership and evaluate yourself, how am I giving the people that I work with a chance to lead and an opportunity to shine?
Right.
Am I going home? Am I giving my spouse? Am I giving my partner, a chance to lead and not controlling every decision?
Right.
These are things that, should be evaluated. Yeah. So we have a few questions out there.
Yeah. So let's sum these questions up or kind of like get around to all these questions because we want your feedback. So one of the questions is, do you have a work spouse?
Yes.
Or I guess if you don't have a work spouse, describe that relationship.
Right.
So if it's like a work aunt or a work sister or work brother or work
Right.
dad.
And I also want to hear about your work spouses. Even, hey, when I think I went in too far with my work spouse, I need help on how to dial back. If there's some of you that are in trouble and like, hey.
So that's, okay, so do you have a work spouse?
Yeah, work spouse.
Dad, mom, or aunt,
correct,
cousin, friend, whatever.
Grandma, right, correct.
Grandma.
Yeah.
And
work pimp. Watch out for the work pimp.
Watch out for your work pimp.
Yes.
Or have you been pimped at work?
Right.
Rather, that's more of the question.
Correct.
Have you been pimped at work?
Yes. So those are things that we want to know. Get feedback. We want to share the responses with you.
And the last one is about the roles.
Yes.
How do you turn your role on and off outside and within the office? So how do you put your office hat on, your work hat on, and then take it off when you get home as a work spouse?
Yeah.
Or partner.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
So these are the things. So what's our social media so they can follow us?
Yes, our social media is at a Work Spouse Pod. We can be followed on all platforms at Work Spouse Pod, Twitter, Instagram, Facebook. We also have, subscribe to our podcast online as well. And be sure to kind of converse with us about it. We want to hear more about how you all work environments kind of look what it looks like.
Yes.
And how you manage them.
Okay.
So,
until next time, coworkers.
Yes, until next time.
Everyday hustle, never touching a thing. And you wonder how I'm balancing weight with one beam. Ha. It's a mouse click. South Schwitz.